Thank you, Jenny, for being with us this evening.
Thank you, Jocelyn. Should I share my screen right now?
If you'd like to, yes.
And are you able to view it in presentation format?
Yes.
Yes.
That's perfect.
That's perfect. So let me start by saying what a pleasure it is for me to be here. Thank you for the invitation once again. Dr. Erica Amory, thank you for joining. And my BPW sisters from across Canada and even around the world, thank you for taking the time to join us today. What a pleasure it is to serve on the international level after having served locally and nationally. And thank you for your invitation to this annual candlelighting ceremony hosted by BPW Niagara Falls. We all know that we have this candlelighting ceremony as an annual tribute to the International Federation of Business and Professional Women. And the candlelighting ceremony, we read this in our prepared presentations for this ceremony, that it was actually conceived by our founder, Dr. Lena Madison Phillips. And those of you who have been members for a very long time, you know what brings us all together. And you know the cornerstones and the priorities and the countries in which you live or the cities in which you live across Canada. You understand the local nuances and you know how to bring women together. At the international level, the goal is the same. It's to unite women, except instead of having this be done locally or through communities, we're trying to unite women from around the world. And it's for this one common purpose. It's to share in the same determination of purpose. And we know that purpose. It's to improve conditions for all women. But what does it really mean? What does it mean at the local, national, and international levels? I hope that this presentation walks you through some of that so that along the way, we can evoke some historical memories, a little bit of the past, that we are able to remember past accomplishments, but also to celebrate the achievements of today, to look at the future and see how our efforts are making a difference and how we are able to influence others. I remember my very first trip to New York City. It was during CSW 59. So just to give you an idea, we're now going to have CSW 68. So we're looking at, over almost a decade now. And when I attended my very first candlelighting ceremony in New York City during CSW 59, I realized the international scope of this organization. And for the first time, I actually realized how significant this ceremony was. Because yes, at the local level, we've had it many times and we're trying to quickly rush through it because, we want to read out all the countries and we've got to do the setup of this and we have to take down this setup. But at the international level, I was actually viewing it just as an attendee, not having to do any of the work behind the scenes. And I saw this. What I saw was some candles. And if you look at the white little roses in the back of Dr. Lena Madison Phillips' picture there, they were little roses, the kinds that you light up like the tea lights that we have, the little ones where we just flick the switch on. Well, they turned into little roses of different colors, blue and pink and white, and it was absolutely pretty. It was around this time that I also got to spend time with not just women from around the world, but even those in my own country, because individuals like Jill Warbeck, who sat as vice president for membership at BPW International, she was in BC, recently passed away, but I got to meet with her. It was in New York. So it was almost like, meeting Canadian members in New York as well, and realized that during CSWs, during the commissions for status of women, where I realized that I met people from across Canada that I never met before. And it was Colleen Allen, if you remember, as past president, just before I stepped in as president, right there beside me with Jill. And I realized that it wasn't just meeting women around the world, but meeting women from your own country as well. The very first one, picture up there on the top left, is Frida Miraculous when she was international president. There was a lot of singing and dancing, top middle picture there. And I got to meet those from my own region, the right top there, and realize that, USA, Canada, and the Caribbean countries could work together on similar and shared purposes. The bottom left there, I met a lady from Germany, and she was hosting a side event with not a parallel event, which the NGOs hold, but the side events that the governments support. And I attended one such event on equal pay. And so from that moment, CSW 59, when a German BPW president hosting a side event handed me 3 or 4 equal pay day pins and some flyers. And I came back to Calgary with a purpose. And the purpose was, really? I didn't realize that we all have this wage gap and that we all need to work on this, and that Canada was number 35 on the ranking. And so started the entire local journey of equal pay and doing it through Calgary and eventually bringing it to BPW Canada and trying to garner attention all the way to Parliament, where we were able to place the motion to declare Equal Pay Day nationally. But it was, these few pins in hand, meeting a few individuals, meeting people from across Canada, and coming back with a purpose. And the exciting thing was this whole feeling of having an entire sisterhood behind you, rallying around you, and that this common vision to make sure that women in all their diversity are paid what they're worth. That became the starting point, and I would say, sparked a bit of a fire. So, what do these candles symbolize? Why are we doing this? We read this every year. But if you really try to understand as you read some of this and then say, how can I take this and inspire or empower myself and others? And these ambitions that we have, that these are common in every country and it's global. As you know, the white candles represent federations, the founding federations, 6 of them, Canada is amongst. the founding federations. We're one out of the 6 founding federations, along with UK, USA, Italy, France, and Australia. Austria. When you look at, the affiliate clubs, they're represented in the blue candles, the individual members. So these are members who do not have a federation or an affiliate club. Federation is 100 members. Affiliate club is minimum of 20 members. But if an individual wants to be part of BPW International and does not have a federation in their country, or does not have an affiliate club, they could be individual members of BPW International. That's what the big pink candles represent. The middle candle, always USA. Remember, USA is where our founder, Dr. Lena Madison Phillips, is from. And the tallest candle represents BPW International, with the last candle always representing the future and usually lit by a young BPW if present. When you look at BPW International and the current membership as we speak, as of December 2023, I can tell you that we are present in 113 countries, out of which 43 are federations and 90 are affiliate clubs. So again, federations are 100 members or more in a country forms a federation, like in Canada. So BPW Canada is a federation. And then affiliate clubs are those countries that have clubs but haven't reached the 100 mark yet. So the minimum is 20 members going up to, under 100. I can tell you that 19 new countries have joined us this triennium, and the 5 regions, Africa, Asia Pacific, Europe, Latin America, and North America and the Caribbean, happen to form BPW International. So we have 5 regions, and the numbers that you see next to the regions represent the members. So when you look at Africa, we've got 1,283 members there, Asia Pacific 3,799, Europe sitting at over 17,000, Latin America just over 1,000, and North America and the Caribbean just under 1,000. So if you think about this, North America and the Caribbean is the smallest region in terms of size of membership. So looking at the total, we're looking at just over 24,000 members across the world. And now look again at Europe, sitting at 17,316 out of that 24,000. So this kind of gives you an idea of what our current membership is like. This is what happens locally. This is BPW Calgary, not just maybe a few years ago. The tallest candle always represents BPW International, and I'm lighting it there with many leaders from BPW Calgary. And if you look at the candle of the future, you see our young BPW member there lighting the candle of the future. We all talk about our principles, and perhaps, what speaks louder than these words are the actual things that happen on the ground. And when we talk about women's economic independence or equal opportunity and representation in all aspects of life, political, economic, and civil, you can see that even our monthly topics revolve around that. We want to make sure that women are in a solid economic position, that they're participating at all levels, and that we're making sure that we're creating safe spaces for all women. The second, talking about, professional and leadership potential, trying to advance or even develop. And you can see some of that through our mentorship and scholarship programs, undertaking lifelong education and training, using women's abilities to benefit others as well. Scholarships, mentorship programs, and even our monthly events. It's really to make sure that women are truly reaching their true potential. to advocate for elimination of all discrimination, for human rights, and use gender-sensitive perspectives. You see this mostly through our resolutions. And you see some of the advocacy that takes place when you look at the priority areas of BPW Canada, for instance. And in this term, you see things like reproductive justice and rights. You see women's empowerment through the Canadian Coalition to Empower Women. You see this through the resolutions that we're preparing, even in the area of human trafficking. To undertake networking, cooperation, projects to gain economic independence, and to present views to international organizations, agencies, business, governments, and civil society. Here is where it's not just important to network amongst ourselves, but it's so important that we're cooperating between clubs, between countries, that we're making sure our projects have the visibility that they need, and we're making sure that we are leveraging all different stakeholders and all different partnerships. And here we could look at, the work that we do, let's say, with the Canadian Human Rights Commission, or the efforts that we make to place commendations or present commendations to members of government, let's say, senators, etc., and then working with other civil society leaders as well, who are doing the same things we are. Perhaps, not just with women, but maybe with the mainstream larger society. So the founding principles that we need to reflect on, and that all of our programming is centered on, should be these four founding principles. And I think in Canada, we're doing a fantastic job. We are actually making sure that our efforts are reaching the grassroots level. The top one here on the left, Niagara Falls, with their $10,000 donation. I believe it was for food security, and making sure that poverty, the Sustainable Development Goal number 1 and 2 are reached. And this is an excellent example. On the right, you see Bow Valley College receiving 4 scholarships paid by BPW Calgary. You see mentorship programs on the right. You see screens, because it's an online mentorship program spearheaded by BPW Ontario. And then on the left, you see the mentorship program that's happening in person right here in Calgary, with the kickoff a couple of months ago, showing how we are making a difference. We are on the right track. You see our rooms are filled with diverse women, and by diverse, I mean age, I mean thought, and of course, race, religion, etc. Our efforts in Canada are noticed. They are noticed at all levels of BPW. They're noticed through our partnerships, and they are applauded. And I must say that I am very proud to see this happen across our country. Taking a look at resolutions, for example, where we are indeed making a difference, having a voice at the Prime Minister's office through our resolutions. And our members are truly excited about being able to make change when it comes to influencing policy, when it comes to shaping and taking part in policy development, but also policy review and policy analysis. I say this in particular because clubs like BPW Edmonton, who are made up of accountants and lawyers, get very excited about the area of resolutions. And BPW has done so much work in the area of resolutions. I mean, we all know when we go through the database, there are so many, we don't have to come up with a new resolution ever. We just have to go into the database and just filter what's still open, and any resolution can be picked up through BPW Canada's database, and it's accessed by the public. In fact, it's accessed by government, people who work in government, to go onto the BPW Canada website and filter what we're working on, and what remains open, and what we've achieved by what resolutions have been closed. This is a photo actually of a candlelighting ceremony during the 30th Congress in Cairo, Egypt. And I cannot describe in words what it means when Canada is called up to light one of the 6 founding federations candles. You are amongst the first. Canada is amongst the first that rises to the occasion when it comes to candlelighting ceremonies around the world. And we are well respected. We are recognized as one of the 6 founding federations. And this was such a very unusual. I've never been to Cairo, Egypt. In fact, I've never taken such a trip before, and this was my first, and it was through BPW, and it was when I was president of BPW Canada. So it was quite touching for me to stand up for Canada. In the readout of our ceremony, protocols, you hear the words, "in the warmth and glow of its tolerant light." And this is quite symbolic. And I wonder sometimes why we use that analogy. And it's really good to sometimes even read parts of the candlelighting ceremony protocol in some of our meetings, because it really truly talks about coming together in unity from different parts of the world. In our case, if we're holding it even locally during our monthly meetings, we should be talking about why we're coming together even from this city or from this community. It's important to share memories. I think especially I'm talking to a group that has many memories. They've been BPW members for decades, and it's really important to make sure that we share these memories, that we record these memories, because it's really important to remember that these memories happen in friendship. They happen with networking. They happen while we spend time with one another. We reflect on the founding principles that govern BPW International and envisioned by our founder, Dr. Lena Madison Phillips. And there are a couple of great books on Dr. Lena Madison Phillips. And if you Google them, some of them are also available to purchase. And I find the story of Dr. Lena Madison Phillips quite interesting. As some of you know, that she was a lawyer by profession, that she was from the United States, and that she really sought to go across borders, to leave the United States and actually go out to Europe, and then establish BPW International in Europe. In fact, I often ask myself why she didn't register BPW International in the United States, because she was from United States, but she actually went across borders. She made sure that American women met European women, and then she registered BPW International, not in the United States, but in Europe, which tells me the interest of bringing women together across borders. Through the candlelighting ceremony and talking about its light and warmth and symbolizing tolerance, we actually stand together to renew our commitment that we're going to reach for these very objectives that BPW International stands for, we realize that our combined abilities and strengths are really unique to our country, but also to the world. We are able to celebrate our successes. There are successes that we gain as individuals, but there are also successes that we gain as a collective, as BPW clubs, and we should take great pride in what we attain individually, but also more than anything else, we need to celebrate those successes that we have achieved by combining our abilities and working as a collective group. And of course, the candlelighting ceremony always ends with the fact that we have much work that lies ahead of us. And let us all be clear that this work will always be work in progress. There is no completion of this work, that we are all working towards the same thing, and that it will always be there. It'll always be work in progress. This is a photo from the CSW 62 in New York City, the 62nd session, so about 6 years ago. And Liz Benham from United States, past international president, is there with me as I light the candle for Canada. Again, being one of the 6 founding federations, I'm often there to light the Canadian candle. Representing BPW Canada is a privilege. I know that a lot of times I'm there as executive secretary, but the fact that I'm from BPW Canada is a great honor and truly a privilege. And if you think about it, there are several Canadian past presidents who have served at the international level. BPW Canada past president Margaret Heinemann in 1946 to 48 became BPW International president in 1956 to 59. So almost 10 years after she served as BPW Canada president, she then became BPW International president. If you look at past President Nazla Dane, 1964 to 66, she became BPW International president in 1971 to 74. BPW Canada past president Jill Warbeck actually was BPW International vice president of membership in 2008 to 2011. And those of you who remember Jill Warbeck from BC, who passed away quite recently. Looking at the present, where are we? Because where is BPW Canada? As you know, I serve as executive secretary, and the assistant to the executive secretary is Maida Yazar, who is from BPW Ontario, to be specific, from BPW North Toronto. This is a paid position at the president's office. The assistant to the executive secretary is there to record all the minutes, etc. As you know, the executive secretary does not have the same duties as the secretary at local or national clubs. I sit as an ex officio member on the Constitutional Advisory Committee, and I oversee the area of constitutions when it comes to forming new clubs and those that go through amendments of their federation bylaws and constitutions. Those are usually submitted to BPW International for review, and that is where the bulk of my work is. If you look at the standing committee, and I'm talking about at the international level, we have several BPW Canada members, one of them here on this call, Dawn Nason, who has served as BPW Alberta president before. She sits on the standing committee for the United Nations, so reporting to the vice president of United Nations. Kelly Talon Franklin from BPW London, she is a chair of a task force, but also sits on that UN Standing Committee as well. Colleen Babiak, your Vice President for BPW Canada, she sits on the Health Standing Committee. Janet Ream, who was our past treasurer and member of BPW Ottawa, I believe, is on the financial management team reporting to the executive finance officer. Prima Mabonzo, she's on a membership standing committee. Prima, you'll remember, is BPW Canada's young BPW vice president, and she was BPW Montreal president. Louisa Grecu, who was also BPW Montreal president, who now is part of a standing committee as well. And Krishni Hediarachi, who was young BPW vice president at BPW Canada, who sits on a task force for child marriage prevention. There are two task forces that are actually chaired by BPW Canada members. Kelly Talon Franklin chairs the task force at the international level on human trafficking, and I lead a task force on immigration and global citizenship. So what you see is BPW Canada members at the international level participating and quite involved. BPW Canada is part of a region. So outside of, the local work that we do, the provincial or the national work we do, we are part of the region, and the region is North America and the Caribbean. And here I should say that it's the non-Spanish speaking countries of the Caribbean, because the Spanish speaking countries fall under Latin America. So the region of North America and the Caribbean includes the English speaking countries. The two federations are BPW USA, or what is known as NFBPWC, is of course the other federation, us being a federation. So there are two federations. So the Caribbean is actually all made up of affiliate clubs. So going back to, the fact that the two federations we're at about 300 and so members each. So Canada and the US is just has a handful more right now, but we're pretty much the same, just over 300 members. And then affiliate clubs you see are in Anguilla, Barbados, Bermuda, Cayman Islands, Dominica, Haiti, Jamaica, St. Kitts and Nevis, and St. Martin. So as a region, we are quite diverse. We are diverse in age and thought, and diverse in occupations. And I must say, my visit to St. Kitts was a fantastic way to learn what is happening in the Caribbean and the work that they do. And let me tell you, it is an influential part of our region that has access to government. In fact, the two ladies you see seated in the front row, Christine Walwyn just became an ambassador representing, the government in St. Kitts, and Dawn Williams, who is our regional coordinator, she holds a top position at one of the banks and is one of the first women to occupy such a senior level position in banking. The region is actually hosting the upcoming International Congress. So November 17th to the 20th of this year, if you remember, we were going for Congress to Argentina, but things have not worked out in Argentina as we had planned. And I believe Argentina will be the next Congress in 2027, but St. Kitts is hosting this one in 2024. So BPW St. Kitts is inviting and welcoming the global BPW sisterhood, and you can tell them I put in a plug for them. coming to the end of this presentation, and perhaps as you all prepare to light your candle, just remember some of these very key things. The first is, we're not operating in isolation. We are part of an influential global network. What we do here affects and has an impact on the world. We need to remember that our actions are not just for here in our community, but perhaps across our province. What we do is important, and it does have international reach. Like I said earlier, the founder organized these goodwill tours to Europe from USA. And this, I really wanted to kind of put it into context because this was happening in the 1920s. So just think about, here's a woman in the 1920s, lawyer by profession, business and professional woman who thinks that she needs to go across the world and she needs to spread this idea, some aims, these founding principles, and now look at it. It's just, it's that one candle that lit many others, and the work continues to shine. The work was shining before we came into this. The work will continue to shine after we leave this work. We need to think about the future, capacity building, and need to keep, the light shining, but also keeping the light spreading. The goal, across borders, across from where you are, outside of your house. I mean, it always starts small, always starts within our homes, needs to go across the street, across the city, and so forth. It's very interesting to me to understand this because actually, I co-founded the Canadian Federation for Citizenship. Well, I say co-founded because the second co-founder is my husband. So the two of us have co-founded Canadian Federation for Citizenship. And as a founder, I look at this and I say to myself, she served as 17 years as president of BPW International. Just imagine, for those of us that have served 2 years, or those that have served in different roles, to found, to be the founder of BPW International and to serve as president for 17 years, from 1930 to 1947. Oh my goodness, my hat's off to Dr. Lena Madison Phillips for her commitment, for her never-ending commitment to not only this organization in that time, but for it to now live and continue and continue to grow the way that it is growing. As I mentioned, 19 new countries this triennium. I love this quote. Common danger had not then, as it has now, taught the peoples of all nations the necessity of international understanding and cooperation. To be world-minded then made one seem to be slightly odd, but we had enthusiasm and faith, youthful energy, and most important, a cause whose hour had struck. With such equipment, meager to those who value only material things, sufficient for dreamers, such as find castles in the clouds, we organized. So as we end, we want you to think of those castles in the clouds. Here's a photo of when I was president and we were organizing the candle lighting ceremony in Moncton. And I traveled with these candles And it was only a small little tray, and they all were white, but they were of different colors. Sorry, they were of different sizes, and we just put little ribbons around them. If you look at that last candle, closest to you, the short one, not the tea light, but the shortest candle, it's got a little light blue ribbon around it. It doesn't have to be complicated. It doesn't have to be huge. It can just be small. It can be symbolic. It can be meaningful. And the way we deliver the content, the way that we um, bring about the feeling of light, the spreading of our shine. It is possible to do this work. Your work is important. Continue to do what you are doing because it is making a huge difference. Here are some events that I've listed. CSW 68 coming up with virtual parallel events that anyone can join from anywhere, March 11th to the 22nd. Please register and make sure that you follow BPW International's website so that you can see some of the events that are being hosted by BPW International and by other BPW clubs from around the world. World Health Day coming April 7th. Please take the time to appreciate our health, but also coming out of this pandemic, think about what we need to focus on. What do women need in our communities? What are we, what have we learned out of this pandemic? Let's not put it aside and say it's over. Let's take it seriously. April 7th is World Health Day. BPW Canada Convention, I'm really looking forward to going to Moncton again. We were there for AGM when I was president, so really looking forward to going there, as having a convention this time. I know we've got our politicians on board. The mayor is part of BPW Moncton, so she's a member. Yeah, this should be very interesting. We've got quite the lineup. I know Senator Hartling will also be there. I know that they're all looking forward to it, and I think we should also be excited about this. BPW Day, August 26th. Wear yellow, don't forget. Take a photo, share it. And BPW International Congress in St. Kitts, November 17th to the 20th. I will definitely share this presentation with Jocelyn, and I hope that you're able to use it to inspire your own clubs, share it with your own presidents, and do a little customized version for your own annual candle lighting ceremonies. But thank you very much for this opportunity.
Thank you, Jenny. This was absolutely amazing. May I email this presentation to the attendees for this meeting?
Absolutely, absolutely.
That would be wonderful. My goodness. Are there any questions? This is the time for questions and answers. Anne.
Okay, I don't have a question, but I am overwhelmed by what you've had to say tonight. This has summed up our reason for being so beautifully, and I thank you for that.
You're absolutely welcome. It is a pleasure, truly a pleasure to spend this evening with you. It's always a pleasure to spend time with members from our own country, but I thank all those that have taken the time who are 8 hours ahead or 5 hours ahead of us and joining us as well. It's truly a pleasure. And let me tell you, it is an honor to represent all of you in the role that I have at the international level. Every opportunity that I get to speak about BPW Canada, I definitely take it up. And, I'm sure that there is amazing work happening by all different countries, but Canada's number one at the tip of my tongue because, that's where home is. So for those of you that may not know, I was actually born in Africa. So I was about 10 years old when I moved to Canada. So a lot of times when I talk to the African regions, I talk about Canada and then I put in this thing of, oh, my parents and grandparents moved from Africa. So I was actually born in Tanzania and moved to Canada when I was just after my 10th birthday. So getting on to my double digits. But 5 generations ago, we were from India. So the entire immigration thing is actually from India to Africa to Canada.
That is fascinating. My goodness, I had no idea. Thank you for sharing. Any more questions? Barb.
Not a question, just a comment more than anything else. And I think the 22 years that I've been a member of BPW, never once have I heard about the actual membership numbers throughout the world. This is the first time I've ever heard them. Of course, I'm blown away at the differences between North America, Caribbean versus Europe. I guess I am going to ask a question, Jenny, and that is, which of the European countries would have the most members?
We have Joe Kinsey here. I'm not sure if she would be aware.
Absolutely. It's Italy. Italy are the largest.
Okay. Thank you for that.
Yeah, they average about 80 members per club or
Wow.
per city. Yeah, they're a powerful bunch and
That's
really
Yeah,
helpful.
and remember, it's quite spread out, and there are multiple languages, and when you look at the number of countries that make up Europe is also very large, right?
Yeah, the Italian young BPW were amazing a few years ago. One of my nieces my great niece was was just starting university in Venice, didn't speak Italian and became really, really homesick. So I wrote to the young BPW head and they all just went down to university, took her out for dinner, looked after her. You can call on BPW wherever you are. So there you go.
Okay.
Any more questions? Anne.
Again, my mind is just racing right now. That's best it can. I don't understand why we have so few members.
Yeah.
Maybe we're too spoiled here in Canada to realize just what we don't have or what we do have. I don't know. We are a very fortunate country. There's no question about it. But maybe something we may have to think about, or at least put some action into, is that we're receiving numerous immigrants right now, and those women will need help. I would assume, at any rate. Maybe that's something we have to start looking at. I don't know. I haven't got any plans in mind yet, but I'm thinking that maybe that's something that we have to move into.
And you've brought up a really important point, and it's something that BPW Calgary was talking about. And I sometimes, I practice immigration, so I totally understand where you're coming from. I mean, at the end of the day, we bring in 1 million people into this country every 3 to 4 years. So, where are the business and professional women? and where are those that seek to join them? And are we creating safe and inclusive spaces? Are we working with partners that also work with this segment? So when I think about what's happening at BPW Calgary, for example, especially with the recent waves of people from the Ukraine, right, from Ukraine, you see that it needs to start top down, and then you see things working bottom up. So we need to make sure that diversity is not something that we're striving on just in terms of our membership. We need to have diversity in our top leadership levels in order to recruit and retain diversity in our membership. And by diversity, I mean, again, diversity in age, diversity in thought, diversity in occupations. If we want to attract young folks, and if you look at BPW Calgary, they found something, right? What they've found is mentorship program which attracts young people, but more than anything else, at the top leadership level, positions like young BPW vice president, but also secretary and communications. Those can be handled very well by young BPWs. And when we place them in our executive, we start to see them in our membership. But we've got to create those safe and inclusive spaces, because whether we're talking about diversity in age or thought, I mean, if you look at Canada itself today, 1 out of 4 individuals come from outside Canada. So the face of Canada is changing, and we've got to change with it. BPW needs to change with it. I remember when I was president, we had brought membership up to almost 500. And the reason was because we struck clubs like BPW Edmonton and BPW Montreal, etc. So the question is it about growing the existing clubs, or is it about creating new clubs that are more prone to perhaps new partnerships and being able to create those safe and inclusive spaces? Margot, I see your hand up.
Yeah. I was just going back to when you were talking about Ukraine. The BPW UK has spearheaded jointly with France, I believe, on a Ukraine project. And perhaps, Joe, you could explain it better than me.
If that's okay. So we have a project with, we've registered with BPW International, and you can all register projects as your clubs and federations. So along with Amelie Leclerc, who is a past European coordinator, BPW UK, we've organised a vehicle. We have filled it with humanitarian aid, and that vehicle has gone back to BPW Chernihiv in Ukraine, and there's a club in Chernihiv, so they are our BPW sisters, and we have worked with them to see what they needed. Many NGOs and charities have reported after disasters similar to Haiti that we send goods which may not actually be appropriate for what they need on the ground. And then those items clog up the distribution network. They also then end up in landfill. So we wanted to very much work with the members in Chernihiv to see what they needed. And I was fortunate 3 weeks ago to meet 3 incredible women that came out of the war zone to collect the vehicle and to finish off some of the shopping that we needed to get for them. And we got things like leisure solar panels and batteries, because by having sorry, I can stop a little bit if I'm going a little bit too deeply. Sorry, Jocelyn.
No, it's fine.
have-
Please continue.
They have rolling power cuts, and that's partly because the infrastructure is being hit by drones. So to repair the electricity, they have rolling power cuts. But the air raid sirens, they go off on an app on your phone. So if you can't charge your phone, you don't know when you have to go to the air raid shelter. So not only will you not get the notification, but you and your family are at greater risk because you haven't had that chance or that time to get into the shelter. So we bought 3 sets of solar panels, and these can be linked up to batteries. And because they're leisure size, they can be shared by a couple of houses. And we also bought solar battery chargers for their phones. Some of us have bought these for holidays. We had a request for a washing machine, but we couldn't actually fit it in the vehicle. Some of you may have seen in the press at the beginning of the conflict, when the invasion happened, that some of the things that were taken back as the spoils of war were things like washing machines, and the local children's home hadn't been able to get a proper washing machine. So some of the things we could do for them, some of them we couldn't. But I won't go on anymore, but thank you, Margot. Thank you.
Oh,
Thank
thank
you.
you.
Warsaw.
And
We went
and
all the way
looking
out
at the
to
flip
Warsaw.
And looking at the flip side of that, with Ukrainian women arriving in Canada as well, because the help needs to be there, reaching on the ground, but also on the other side where the receiving countries or countries that they're transiting through, those are also opportunities where we could get involved. So, for example, in Calgary, our local president, works with the Calgary Catholic Immigrant Society. And so CCIS is where the women would come should they need to find employment or advance their careers, etc. So that, and the opportunity to talk about BPW is right there. Our mentorship chair is Polish, and she understands how the Ukrainian families are arriving to the neighboring countries, for example Poland, and what the needs would be there, and those that come to Canada as well. And she's also from the Calgary Catholic Immigrant Society. So it's also about strategically partnering. BPW needs to be where those individuals are arriving to our country and that are seeking to become established in their careers or advance their careers. I mean, the very first issue is the problem with language barriers exist. Although a lot of them do have basic English language ability, many don't have the professional level ability in language. So partnering with these immigrant serving organizations is one way of being able to uh, reach to these women who seek to become business and professional women in Canada as well. They want to be working women.
Mhm. Joe, your hand is up.
Yeah, one of the things where local clubs and federation can really help is helping these women get their qualifications ratified in the country that they are transitioning to. They have either left home where they haven't been able to bring their certificates with them. It's not automatically the first thing that you think about when you grab your passports and your children's coats and you leave home, and when your country is being is under threat. But some countries as well, especially in the care, legal and accounting system, they actually need to requalify. And that's one thing that when you look at the women that that have come out of these countries and you wonder why they haven't been able to get the same level of job that they had in their home country, that's one of the things that you have to look at. But it's not just the case that they don't have the correct documentation. They have left their partners, their husbands behind, because men legally are not allowed to leave Ukraine. But they may also have left their care structure behind. So they have transitioned to a country where they can't work to the same level that they are educated. They no longer have any childcare. And many of these women did not think that 2 years that they would still be out of their homes. And I think those are the three things that when you're looking to help these refugees that you have to take into account. No one thought this conflict would go on for 2 years, and these women didn't think so. So they have got part-time, temporary jobs rather than restarting their career. They all want to go home. There's such a great majority of them. They just want to go home.
And some of you will remember, BPW Calgary submitted a resolution on recognition of foreign credentials. And that was then forwarded to BPW International, and it was approved. It passed at the Congress, at the last Congress. So foreign credential recognition did come from Canada and was also passed at the international level, so that all countries are thinking about how they handle foreign credentials and how to assess them so that women can be returning to the workforce.
There is so much that we don't know, and I am so grateful that you're sharing. Any more
Yes.
questions?
I just want to mention someone I knew once who was doing a painting job in my house. And we got just talking a bit to him, and it turned out he was a doctor and his wife was a lawyer from another country. But they couldn't both requalify in Canada because they just couldn't afford it, which made sense. So it was easier for her as a lawyer to requalify than it was for a doctor. And he was a doctor of, oh darn, now my brain's gone. We're about old age and all that stuff. And I'm thinking, do we need doctors like that? I guess we do. Pardon? Gerontology, yeah. Thank you. My husband just came in and helped me out. Gerontology. But that's still the same thing. You knew what I meant. But like I felt I didn't, and there was nothing I could do. Nothing, even though I wanted to. But anyway, there's a personal life experience that I had with this guy doing painting, and he's a doctor.
Thank you, Anne. Anyone else? Then we will continue with our agenda, and we will go and we will do our candle lighting ceremony for this evening. I will share my screen because I did not send a document to everyone. That was done on purpose. And if you would like to receive the document, though, let me know and I will email it to you. This is sharing our screen for the candle lighting ceremony 2024 protocol that was posted on the BPW International website. So Charmaine and I have already reviewed this. So if you'd like to get started, Charmaine.
Yes. 1 second. Wanted to make sure that we can see what's going on here.
Yes.
Jocelyn is sharing the screen, And on the second page, there are the objectives for the women. And I would like to ask our members to read those, and I will call your name for those particular things when we get to them, okay? Okay.
It sounds good. Make sure you, unmute your microphones when you're being called. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. We have come together to participate in a special tribute to one of the world's most influential organizations, the International Federation of Business and Professional Women, which unites women around the world. Although its members speak in many languages and live in countries with differing traditions, they share the same determination of purpose.
More than 90 years ago, BPW was founded by Dr. Lena Medicine Phillips from the United States of America, and a few years later, she conceived the idea of the candle lighting ceremony. As we perform this ceremony, we will evoke historical memories, the many accomplishments, and celebrate today's achievements.
The members of the United States of America made goodwill tours to Europe to share their interests and their beliefs with women of Europe. Through their efforts and influence, groups were organized in several countries. In 1930, women from 16 countries met in Geneva, where a long cherished dream, the forming of the International Federation, became a reality.
The candles symbolize the ambitions and endeavors of dedicated women in every country around the world. Each white candle represents a federation. Each blue candle stands for a country where there is at least one associated club, and the pink candles for individual members. The candle in the middle represents the oldest group of BPW affiliates of the United States of America. So this is at this point where we will light the United States candle.
Thank you. The tallest candle represents the International Federation. That's this one up here. Sorry, a little shaky. Okay. In the warmth and glow of its tolerant light, business and professional women in all parts of the world come together to share memories and friendship and reflect on the founding principles envisioned by Lena Madison Phillips that governs the International Federation, which stands out as a beacon to women everywhere. Using our combined abilities and strengths, we renew our commitment for the attainment of the following objectives. Nancy, could you read the first one, please?
Work for women's economic independence, equal opportunity and representation in economic, civil, and political life.
Thank you, Nancy. Anne, could you read the next?
And encourage and support women and girls to develop their professional and leadership potential, undertake lifelong education and training, use their abilities for the benefit of others locally, nationally, and internationally.
Thank you, Anne. Charlotte, could you read number 3?
Advocate, A, for the elimination of all discrimination against women, and B, for the human rights and the use of gender-sensitive perspectives.
Thank you, Charlotte. And Catherine, could you read number 4?
Undertake worldwide networking and cooperation between business and professional women, nonprofit projects that help women gain economic independence, to present the views and business of and professional women to international organizations and agencies, and to business, governments, and civil society.
Thank you, Catherine. Let us now light the other candles and remember our members on every continent who will be celebrating in the same manner. As we light the candles for them, they will light the candle for our country.
First, we light candles for each of the founding federations of BPW International.
Are you going to read them out?
So we light a white candle as each country is named. Austria, Canada, France, Italy, United Kingdom, United States of America. Today, there are also affiliate federations, and we will light the remaining white candles as each country is named. Charmaine, would you like to read the countries when you're finished with lighting them?
Okay. I was going to ask if we could share the reading of this and take it through the group. There are, what, 37? Oh, no, I forget how, yeah, 37 countries are listed here. So could each of you take 5 or 10 or 12?
Sure.
Okay. Who can I ask first? Judy. Judy, could you read 4 or 5 of them? Is Judy gone?
She may be
Okay.
muted.
Yeah. I can't see her.
No.
Okay. Any volunteers?
I will.
Okay.
Argentina, Australia, Bahrain, Belgium, Brazil, Burkina Faso, Cyprus, Ecuador, Egypt, Estonia, Finland, and Gabon.
Okay. Could someone else read the next column? Please?
I can read some of them.
Thank you.
Germany, Ireland, Japan, Jordan, Korea, Kuwait, Lebanon, Malaysia, Mexico, Morocco. Don't know how to pronounce that one.
Myanmar.
And Nepal and New Zealand.
Okay. And one more person, please.
I could do it if you want.
Thanks, Anne.
Nigeria, Pakistan, Philippines, Poland, Singapore, Spain, Sudan, Sweden, Switzerland, Taiwan, Thailand, and the United Arab Emirates.
Well, thank you all for that. I asked for volunteers to read them because to keep everybody aware, it's easier to be part of it. So we also honor our affiliate clubs in the following countries. Need another candle. And the affiliate clubs are the blue candles. You may not notice it from there, but I have a blue ribbon wrapped around my candle. And a hand wants to just trim her. Okay. There are 67 countries listed here. So I will start reading them, and if someone else wants to take over, that would be good.
I'll do the second column, Charmaine.
Okay, thank you. Albania, American Samoa, Anguilla, Armenia, Barbados, Benin, Bermuda, Botswana, Cameroon, Cayman Islands, Chile, Colombia, Côte d'Ivoire, Croatia, the Ivory Coast, that is, Croatia, Czech Republic, Djibouti, the district region of the Congo, the Dominican Republic, Ethiopia, Georgia, Ghana, and Greece. Jocelyn?
Haiti, Hong Kong, Hungary, Iceland, India, Indonesia, Jamaica, Kazakhstan, Kenya, Kosovo, Latvia, Libya, Liechtenstein, Lithuania, Madagascar, Malta, Moldova, Mongolia, Mozambique, Niger, Norway, the State of Palestine, Panama, and Papua New Guinea.
Here. The last list, Paraguay, Peru, the Republic of Congo, Romania, Russian Federation, Rwanda, St. Kitts and Nevis, St. Martin, Senegal, Sierra Leone, Slovenia, South Africa, South Sudan, Syria, Tanzania, Togo, Tunisia, Turkey, Uganda, Ukraine, Yemen, Zambia, and Zimbabwe. Wow, we have a lot of members. And now we also honor individual members, of which we have one. And for that, if I can light the candle, we will light the pink candle. And I've done the same here. I've just wrapped the candle with pink ribbon. There we go.
And this is Denmark.
Yes, and it's Denmark. Thank you. I missed that. And now I will read this. And I have one more candle I'm going to have out there. Okay. BPW International is a dynamic and powerful organization of world importance. Public opinion and legislation in many countries have been influenced by its work. It has broadened our horizons and skills. It has increased our rights and our opportunities, and it has expanded our service to one another and to the community. As our voice at the United Nations organization, it presents to that world body information and opinions obtained from our affiliates worldwide. It enjoys Category 1 consultative status with United Nations Educational, Scientific, and Cultural Organization, the Board of the United Nations Children's Fund, the International Labor Office, the United Nations Industrial Development Organization, and the World Health Organization. It works closely with the Commission on Human Rights and the Commission on the Status of Women, the Food and Agriculture Organization, the International Fund for Agriculture Development, the Council of Europe, and other specialized agencies.
As we come to the end of another candle lighting ceremony, let us light the last candle, the candle of the future. As we light this candle, let us reaffirm our aim to go forward with faith, with courage, and with enthusiasm, to take our place in economic, social, and political fields of endeavor, helping us to bring into being a world of social justice for all and the peace to which all humanity aspires. We have chosen to read the collect, the alternative BPW International Collect that was adopted at the 26th Congress in Mexico City. And we suggest that we will all read this together.
Okay. We ask that we, the women, that we together as we meet. Whoa, let's start that over again. All at once. Okay. We ask
that we meet together as women, not allowing beliefs, religion, nationality, ethnicity, or language to come between us.
That these
meetings enable us to move forward
and advance the status of women throughout the world. That the value of women be recognized in our families, our communities, our workplaces, our country, and the world. That we use our good ideas, our knowledge, our experience to promote the worth of women. That we combine our strengths to move forward in peace, serenity, and in love. That women of all generations do their part to achieve harmony and equality among all human beings. Thank you all.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Charmaine, great job.
I'm removing the spotlight that was on Charmaine so that we can all see each other now.
Okay, good.
All right. This has been absolutely wonderful. Going back to our agenda now. It is time for our president's report, which will actually be quite short this evening. We would like to mention our huge fundraising endeavor, our second annual Design Your Bag Bingo event fundraiser, with funds going to the Community Cruise Lunch for Kids. This will take place this coming October 18th on a Friday. So please mark your calendars and join. There will be a lot more information about this that will be distributed later. Please subscribe to our newsletter at bpwniagarafalls.com if you haven't done so already. There is also an in-person event that is planned from our club, but it's available to everyone. It's at the Niagara Falls Library. Women supporting women. Join us to laugh, listen, and learn. And this is our second event as well. We did one this past September. It's very successful, very well attended. We serve wonderful food. So please come, everyone. I also would like to mention the BPW Ontario Speaker Series. Nancy is the person who's been putting these together. BPW Ontario is pleased to offer monthly virtual speaker meetings. They're available to all members and friends. People don't have to be a BPW member to attend these. This is available at no cost on the fourth Monday. So on March 25th at 7 p.m., we will have Jillian Verborn, who's the director of Hypnosis Niagara Clinic. So is there anything else to discuss pertaining to business of our club? Anything from our own members or incoming members?
Oh, I just want to say something, Jocelyn.
Yes, please.
The Laugh, Listen, Learn event that we're putting on in person at the library in Niagara Falls. The admission cost is only a donation of a feminine hygiene product, which will be donated then to the food bank, the local food bank.
Thank you. Yes, we'll be sure to include that information in the upcoming newsletter as well, just as a reminder. I know it's in September and it seems far away, but the months just slip right on by. In April and in May, we actually have our resolutions meetings. For April, it is the BPW Ontario resolutions that we discuss. And in May, it is actually going to be the 5th Wednesday as opposed to the 4th Wednesday. And that's to give a chance to BPW Canada to get their resolutions to us, because typically they do this very close to the end of May. So we've switched our May meeting. So if you have a chance to update your calendars for that, that would be really a good idea. And this is all I have as far as the president's report. So if there's nothing else as far as news.
Just, Jocelyn?
Yes, please.
It's Dawn. I was just wondering if you're taking a photo so we can all have the beautiful candles in the picture as well.
That is a great idea. We have not raised our candles yet. If you don't have a candle handy, you can actually use a little desk lamp. This is what I do every year. So if anybody has candles. When we're ready, I don't see Elizabeth's picture yet, but maybe she's choosing to not share it.
There she is.
There. So do we all have our candles?
Someone able to get a screenshot?
Yes, I'm going to be doing that as soon as we feel ready. I see some movement. Elizabeth is coming.
Got it, Jess?
We're just waiting for Elizabeth. There. Okay. I will now take a screenshot and save it. Done. Thank you so much, everyone, for your patience. At this point, I will close our meeting officially at 8:50 p.m. and the social part will start. So as I am closing, I will also stop the recording. So thank you everyone for your contributions and thank you especially Jenny. This has been the most amazing, wonderful meeting.